Okay, so last year at the assembly I was talking about my wish to make the funding process more open. So I work at the NIH, which is one of the largest funders of research in the world. And, well, it's a large organization and those problems have already been addressed, but I'm happy to report that there is actually progress in terms of making the funding procedures more open. Problem is, this progress is not open itself yet, so we cannot really talk about it, but some hints. So, for instance, preprints. So, for many people, that's a strange thing. So, in physics, they have been using this mechanism called the international already for decades. For some in the biomedical science, it's still a new thing. So, the idea of a preprint is before you hand over your paper that was shown before, to the publishers and then wait those months until they finally reject it, you could actually put it up on the web and have people access it. That is normal in physics and related sciences. It's basically unheard of in medical fields. And now NIH is thinking about giving more legitimacy to preprints, like you're going to be allowed to put more of those preprints into the things that are being counted and evaluated at the NIH. I also did, in my spare time, work on making, I worked on making more research proposals public. So I actually co-founded a journal that publishes research proposals, and that makes it easier for everyone to share the research proposals. And not just the proposals. The idea here is to share the entire research process, which I think is in part an answer to what my predecessor just was asking. Like, how can we invite everyone to participate at the level that they are comfortable with? And my first answer is, okay, by sharing more of the process, so that they can have a look at the process and then basically decide what is interesting to them. Ask questions about that particular aspect of the research that is of interest to them. Yeah, that is, to that extent, that's my report from last year. I'm happy to report that the journal I founded is mapping every research output, not just the classical way by disciplines. We're also mapping every paper that comes out to the Sustainable Development Goals, which I think is something that more of science should be doing, not just the journals, but basically everyone. Think about you yourself, your lab notebook, the thing that you're doing every day. Try to map those things to those goals. And also try to identify gaps in the goals. Something else, by putting those thoughts into practice, another thing I do in my spare time is doing Wikipedia. So last year I was involved in improving articles around Ebola and the Nepali earthquakes. And this year I'm involved in Zika. Not my choice, it's just how those things happen. I have no particular expertise in those fields, so everybody here could join. And my problem with that is, we're kind of always waiting for the problem to happen. We're not really prepared. And what I mean by we is diffuse, partly because I don't feel understand the landscape, partly because the landscape is evolving quickly, partly because there are parts that I'm just missing. And so I actually want to invite your creativity in terms of how can we develop a plan so that whenever the next Ebola, Zika, earthquake, whatever comes, we, the digital community, are similarly prepared to how the Red Crosses and others are prepared to do stuff on the ground. And as an example, I would like to point out OpenStreetMap. They started about 10-15 years ago by actually mapping the sites of a problem, like most prominent maybe the Haiti earthquake. Since that time, basically, every organization that is working on the ground is using the OpenStreetMap maps because they're just more up-to-date, more accurate. They can handle things in a more flexible way. You can even have different versions, and you don't have to deal with license problems and so on. And so those people acting on the ground are all using this. But Wikipedia emerged as the most consulted source of information for Ebola in the countries actually affected, basically because we were providing the information in the language of the people who were sick and who had to care for them actually spoke. It was somewhat useful that everybody was providing information in English or so, but most people who were sick with that didn't have a clue what English is, basically. And so for Zika it's simpler, but we don't know what's going to be the next one. And I really would like to encourage a discussion on how we can bring those people together who are doing stuff on the ground with those who are working in the digital sphere, and to develop a plan together so whenever the next thing strikes, we're ready to act, and then we can use the current problems, like Ebola still not finished, earthquakes still happening at a regular interval, and Zika still growing. We can use those as test cases. What can we do now so that the next one is going to be handled more smoothly? Thank you.